So now that the Ditra is down, it's time to install the tile. This is going to be a 20 inch by 20 inch tile, and I'm going to use an unmodified thinset to install the tile. This is a premium unmodified thinset. It's actually Tech. The company is Tech, and it's their uncoupling membrane mortar. The reason you use the unmodified thinset is because of the nature of the two products that you're installing. The Ditra itself is basically a plastic, so no moisture or water can escape through it, and the porcelain tile is basically the same thing. And because of this, if you use a polymer modified thinset, it will take a very long time to dry and cure. The moisture gets trapped between the two parts. It gets trapped between the Ditra and the tile itself, and the water needs to escape through the grout joints, and this can take a very long time just because of the nature of the product. So to avoid this problem, you use an unmodified thinset. Unmodified thinset does not dry by evaporation, it dries by hydration. In other words, the moisture in the thinset is consumed in the chemical process as the thinset cures. So the water does not need to escape from the grout joints. And because it's a wet or damp cure, the thinset will adhere to the porcelain tile tenaciously. So there's no problem with adhesion at all. Anytime you're using Ditra products, we almost always use an unmodified thinset to set the tile. As you spread the thinset, you want to make sure you completely fill all the little voids or waffles in the Ditra, because this is what actually holds the tile down. The thinset does not stick to the Ditra itself, but is locked into the voids in the Ditra, or the waffles of the Ditra, so the tile is mechanically held to the Ditra. So it's important to make sure that they're completely full. And the way I usually do it is first I'll go over the Ditra with the flat side of the trowel, and then use the notch side of the trowel to get my to gauge the thinset. And another thing that's also important is to have all the lines of the thinset go in a single direction. This makes it easier to collapse the ridges and get better coverage on the back of the tile. Now this is a large tile, so I'm actually going to be notching the thinset on the Ditra and also notching the thinset on the tile. The floor is in pretty good condition. It's pretty flat, but it's not perfect, so I do this to have enough depth of thinset under the tile to be able to get a good lippage-free installation. And I'll be using a leveling system on this tile because it's a large tile. There's two areas of this floor. There's this large open area, which is all going to be 20 by 20 tile, and then there's the other areas that are all going to be 13 by 13 tile, and I won't be using the leveling system on the 13 by 13. So as I said, I'm going to be back buttering these tiles at 20 by 20, and I am actually going to use the notch side of the trowel to back butter them. But in addition to that, I'm also going to be using a leveling system. The one I'm using here is the MLT tile leveling system, and I just want to speak in general about leveling systems. I have several videos that explain exactly how to use this leveling system. So, in general, the larger the tile, the flatter the floor needs to be to achieve a lippage-free installation. Now, what lippage is when the edge of one tile sticks up beyond the next tile. In other words, one tile is higher than the other. And the larger the tile gets, the harder it is to get tiles to be exactly into plane. So you need the floor to be as flat as possible, and you need a larger notch in the trowel to facilitate the installation of these tiles. Another thing that can help with installing large format tiles, and a large format tile is a tile that has any one side that is longer than 15 inches. So even if you've got like a 6 by 24 inch tile, that's considered a large format tile. But anyway, to help with the installation of these tiles and to reduce the lippage, you can employ a leveling system. And as I said, in this case I'm using the MLT leveling system, which is actually a very good system, has a lot of features to it, and it can help immensely when installing these big tiles. So a thing to keep in mind when using any kind of leveling system is that they are not designed to help straighten out an uneven or wavy floor. If your base is wavy, it's not flat, it's uneven, don't expect a leveling system to help. Leveling systems are designed to help keep the tiles in place as the thinset dries, because if you've got a lot of thinset under the tile, it can tend to shrink, and even if you install the tile perfectly flat, you come back the next day and some tiles can be up or down. So that's one thing that a leveling system does. And when you install the leveling system, like the MLT system, what happens is usually there is a strap which goes under the tile and hooks under the tile, and then there's some sort of cap, which you'd either twist or use a tool of some kind to force the cap down on top of the tile and bring the tiles into alignment. And with leveling systems, generally what happens is that the cap will push the tile into the thinset more than it will raise the tile next to it up. In other words, a lot of people seem to think that when you use a leveling system, it can create voids under the tile because it'll pull one tile up to align with the next. It's actually the opposite. Usually what happens is the leveling system will push the tile down to align with the next tile. To use these systems properly, you don't want to rely on the system to do your work for you. The system is just meant for the last little bit of tweaking. So when you install your tile, you get it as close as you can, how you would normally install the tile if there was no leveling system, and then you employ the strap with the cap to tweak that last little bit and hold it in place. That's how they're supposed to work. Don't get the illusion that a leveling system is going to give you a perfectly flat floor without doing the work to obtain that floor. You're using the correct type of thinset, using the correct notch size. In this case I'm using a 3/8 inch square notch trowel on both sides, on the Ditra and on the tile. And as you set in the tile, you're using your leveling system. Like I said, in this case, it's the MLT leveling system. Once you got your tiles in place, you're going to use the caps, whatever system you're using, and you're going to use your tensioning tool, or you're going to twist them, or whatever it is that you do for your particular system, and that is going to bring the tiles into plane. I happen to like this system because it has a lot of features and works very well. You get your caps on, and use your tensioning tool to bring the tiles into plane, and then you move on to another section. Don't rush, take your time, it's not a race. So just to go over what we'll be talking about, unmodified thinset on Ditra. You spread your thinset with the lines all going in the same direction. You don't want swirls. You want to keep the lines all going in one direction. Then you're going to place your straps where they go. In this case, there's 4 straps at each corner. Back by your tile. Put your tile in place. Make sure it is flat and even. And move on to the next tile. Put some straps in. And just keep on going like that. Just if you do things step by step, everything will fall into place. Okay, so it's the end of the day, and you finish tiling for the day. So when you come back in the morning, you're gonna need the straps in the end here. So this is how I handle it. I put the straps in. They're supposed to go. Clean out all the thinset. Just leave it clean. And I get some scraps. Scrap tiles. And so when I come back in the morning, just remove those, take the scraps away, and I'll be all ready to go. You can do this with this system because the caps can be removed without breaking the base. Some systems, once you put the cap on, that's it. You can't move it. To take the cap off, you have to actually break the strap, and the cap can't be put back on. So if you're gonna use this method to keep the straps aligned and in proper positioning, you have to use a system where the caps can be removed without damaging the base. And like I said, not all systems are like that. Okay, so you can't also install all 4 in one day. So at the end of the day, what I do is these are the scraps. So I put the straps in place, and then put a piece of scrap tile on, Now you have your plates in position, ready for the next day. Just like that. That's how I handle it. Just put some scraps in. And straps are ready. Now I do the rest of this. The process is basically the same for any leveling system you're going to use. Put the tile down, you put your straps in, you put the caps on, you tighten down the caps, and you keep on moving on and on. And you don't ever want to rush when installing tile, because that's when you make mistakes. Just a word of advice: if you're installing a tile and you're moving along and you see that a tile has got some kind of defect in it, remove it at that time while the thinset is still fresh. It's a good idea to inspect the tiles as you're putting them down. Once the thinset has set up, it becomes more difficult to change a tile. Usually the next day the tiles can come up pretty easily because the thinset is still in the curing process, but once a few days or a week has gone by, it becomes much more difficult to remove the tile. So just keep an eye on what you're doing, and if there's anything that doesn't look right, fix it. Once the thinset has cured and set, adjustments will become extremely difficult, probably impossible. You may be able to change a tile or replace a tile, but that's about it. You can't do anything else to the job once the thinset has cured and set. When the tile has set, the next day you're going to have to remove the straps from your system. In this case, you use a gun to remove the straps and the caps. Sometimes you can just kick them or use a mallet to break them. It depends on the system you have, but in any case, you want to make sure that once you take the strap out, you clean out any thinset that might be between the joints. The longer you wait to do that, the harder it's going to be. The following day after installation, the thinset is still fairly soft because it's still curing, so it's much easier to clean the grout lines out at that time. If you wait a day or 2 days or 3 days, it becomes the thinset gets harder and harder as it cures and becomes more difficult. So always try and keep your installation as clean as possible. When you're using a leveling system, it becomes more difficult to keep the grout lines clear just because of the nature of the product. But it's always good to keep it as clean as possible.